Joe and I went to Mar-a-Lago to meet personally with President-elect Trump.
That we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of issues, and we told him so.
What we did agree on to restart communications.
Look, they have to admit they lied before they can go forward. Like, I'll never believe another word that they say.
Right. And I don't think you need to sit down for 90 minutes, Mar-a-Lago, and kiss his ring.
Morning Joe just met with President-elect Trump over the weekend. They did go onto their show this morning and explain exactly what was discussed. Now, some people believe it's due to the fact that MSNBC is in the tank when it comes to ratings. I mean, it's to the point where the executives are talking about selling the actual network. So what we're going to do is take a listen to what exactly was discussed.
Over the past week, Joe and I have heard from so many people, from political leaders to regular citizens, deeply dismayed by several of President-elect Trump's cabinet selections, and they are scared. Last Thursday, we expressed our own concerns on this broadcast and even said we would appreciate the opportunity to speak with the president-elect himself. On Friday, we were given the opportunity to do just that. Joe and I went to Mar-a-Lago to meet personally with President-elect Trump. It was the first time we have seen him in 7 years.
Now, we talked about a lot of issues, including abortion, mass deportation, threats of political retribution against political opponents, and media outlets. We talked about that a good bit. And it's going to come as no surprise to anybody who watches this show, has watched it over the past year or over the past decade, that we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of issues, and we told him so.
What we did agree on was to restart communications. My father often spoke with world leaders with whom he and the United States profoundly disagreed. That's a task shared by reporters and commentators alike.
Okay, so there's only one or two ways to see this, okay, in my personal opinion. Number one, the ratings are so bad that they have no choice but to do something like this. And a lot of people in the media need to get with the program because they know whatever ratings are left for them to obviously leverage and stay alive is going to be in the name of Trump, meaning they're going to have to go through Trump to get those ratings. You know this. And secondly, another way to look at this is maybe Trump is the individual who's saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to be the actual president for all who will make an effort to unify this country. And the best way to do that is to sit down with people that I know hate me.
We had not spoken to President Trump since March of 2020, other than a personal call Joe made to Trump on the morning after the attempt on his life in Butler, Pennsylvania. In this meeting, President Trump was cheerful, he was upbeat, he seemed interested in finding common ground with Democrats on some of the most divisive issues. And for those asking why we would go speak to the president-elect during such fraught times, especially between us, I guess I would ask back, why wouldn't we? 5 years of political warfare has deeply divided Washington and the country. We have been as clear as we know how in expressing our deep concerns about President Trump's actions and words in the coarsening of public debate. But for nearly 80 million Americans, election denialism, public trials, and January 6th were not as important as the issues that moved them to send Donald Trump back to the White House with their vote. Joe and I realized it's time to do something different, and that starts with not only talking about Donald Trump, but also talking with him.
All right, so before I give you guys my opinion, let's take a look at the numbers. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. You guys know I always say that. Here is the ratings. All right, it's on adweek.com, which is obviously when you place ads, you're going to be told how many people actually viewed the ad and how many listeners tuned in to the actual show. Now, this is on the weekend. It says MSNBC and CNN once again failed to crack over 500,000 total viewers during prime time or total throughout the entire day. Meanwhile, Fox News saw over 1 million total viewers across both day parts, with the big weekend show leading the way as the most watched program. Now, Morning Joe, okay, for the entire day, if we're talking about the demographic between 25 years old and 54, they come in at 28,000 viewers, okay? I will get more than 28,000 viewers on this video alone, okay? Now, if we go to total viewers, okay, This is all demographics, okay, across the board. They come in at 171,000. Again, I'm going to get more viewers than that. My point is not to be arrogant. My point is that this is a failing show at this point, okay? Look at this. They have 171,000, and the big weekend show from Fox has 1.2 million. There's a difference there, right? Okay, so let's go over some of my opinions about this. Number one, clearly the key word in all of this is restart communications. Okay, now why would someone want to do that? Well, there's a couple of reasons, obviously due to ratings. If they can get him on the show, obviously their ratings could go up. Now, I don't think that's really going to make a difference for MSNBC at this point. So maybe the second thing is, and I don't know how likely this is because I can't put it past them. However, it's politics. And I could see this happening because of human behavior, which is maybe they've seen the light. Maybe they know they went too far in their rhetoric. I mean, this is a show, right, that loved Donald Trump. I mean, absolutely loved him before he ran for president. And the fact that Joe actually called him the morning after that first assassination attempt, you know, I think maybe the other component here is just some humans out there are willing to just bite the bullet and come to grips that they were wrong. And maybe that's these people. I don't know, but maybe it's both at the same time. Maybe there's a little bit of them realizing, yeah, we went too far. And also, crap, our ratings are down. We have to do something. President-elect Trump has not come out and commented on this meeting at all. There is a fake post going around X, which is actually hilarious. Okay, so I'm going to read this to you to give you a nice little laugh for Monday morning's sake. Okay. By the way, this is not real. Okay. This morning, Morning Joe and Mika, who owe their careers to me, went on their show and claimed to have met with me. They made it sound like we had a summit. The truth is, Joe begged to meet with me after our big win, and when I finally agreed, he approached me like a scolded dog. He should consider himself lucky that I didn't have him thrown out of beautiful Mar-a-Lago. Mika was charming as usual. Okay, so not everybody is liking this news, and trust me, there's a meltdown on both sides. Here's an example of that. Sean Spicer, who was one of Trump's first White House press secretaries, writes, "For 7 years, Mika and Joe bashed Trump proudly. He wins overwhelmingly despite their lies about him in the campaign. And now they want to open the lines of communications? Absolutely not." Patrick Beck-David has a more common sense approach. Capitalism is forcing MSNBC to set their egos aside and meet with Trump. If they don't, they're done. The market has spoken and they're sick of their fear porn. Good on them to meet with Trump. Good on Trump for accepting their offer. Scott Jennings writes, Hitler getting a lot of more meetings requests than I would have thought. Very good point. Benny Johnson writes, MSNBC, Joe and Mika are groveling to Trump because they know their era is over. While Morning Joe ratings are down plus 50%, independent creators are booming because we established trust with our real audiences. Check out these streaming numbers. Golden era of media is here. Now, this is a cool thing to take a look at, guys. This is during the actual election day. Arguably, I could have been on here because I did get 1 million plus live stream viewers, but it's okay. So Steven Crowder came in at number 1, PBD Podcast 1.6, who I watch a lot. Benny Johnson 1.4, Charlie Kirk Show 1.1, Tim Cass, even Destiny's on here. Wow. And Megan Kelly at 788. All right. So if you guys are getting value from this video, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. If you want to support us further, go to the link in the description below, shop the merch store, or buy us a cup of coffee. Now, Fox News obviously responded to this, and I love their take about what their thoughts were about this. Obviously responded to this, and here is what they had to say.
Make MSNBC great again. Yeah, maybe that's what they're trying to do. Look, the ratings are no joke, and networks can think of it as being cyclical. So this cycle started last Wednesday morning after the election, and they're feeling it now. But I just don't understand where they are going to go forward and not admit that they lied. Because if they really thought he was a fascist, a Nazi, and he was getting at Trump supporters with those comments about MSNBC or MSG, the Madison Square Garden crowd, calling supporters Nazis and so on and so forth. Look, they have to admit they lied before they can go forth. Like, I'll never believe another word that they say. And by the way, that's more MSNBC, those clips we showed, than I've seen in years. I mean, that was a lot of material. I don't, I try not to have that much of it in my system. I think I might be allergic to it.
That's good for your mental health. So that's probably a wise decision.
I'm sure they're nice people, but they lied.
Yeah, so Harris Faulkner is dead on, and that's why there was a clip that I showed you yesterday where Charlemagne is in this podcast, okay, and he's coming out and saying, well, you guys were just calling him a fascist, and now you're meeting with him, like, so was that all just for show? And his co-host says, well, yeah, it's like boxing, they talk all this shit leading up to the fight, and then after it, they're all buddy-buddy. I don't know, but the fact remains is clearly them meeting with Trump in the eyes of most Americans are going to mean one or two things. One, everything that was said during the election cycle, and even before that, really is not true. Or secondly, it is true, but they're being forced to do this because when you're talking about someone's livelihood and their money and ratings and the life of a business, they're going to do whatever it takes. And if that means they got to sit down with Trump, then they're going to do it. All right. So, of course, the unhinged women on The View, and particularly Sunny Hostin, had some choice words about this meeting. Take a listen to this.
Look, the bottom line is that America needs a free press that is willing to speak truth to power right now, more than ever. And I think that we have to be very clear-eyed when we think about the president-elect and cover the president-elect. And I don't think you need to sit down for 90 minutes at Mar-a-Lago and kiss his ring to be able to speak truth and to be able to cover a story. So maybe they're not journalists in the true sense. Maybe they're saying that they're opinion journalists.
What's interesting about Sunny is I believe her hate that she has for people, particularly Donald Trump, of course, has poisoned her soul. Even in this era of how divided we are in a country, we are still human beings, American citizens. And if we can't even accept the idea that both oppositions could sit down and have a conversation and there could be a silver lining to that, then what is the point about crying about being civil and uniting the country and all these other things you've been trying to push?
But we have to remember that Trump is the guy who ushered in the era of fake news. He is the guy who ushered in alternative facts. He is the guy who attacked 3 black female journalists. He's the guy that revoked Jim Acosta's press credentials for asking him a question. And so I think that this president-elect, I hate to say it, would like nothing more than to have only Fox News cover him, would like nothing more than a state-sponsored media. And I don't think he can be trusted in the way that other presidents can be trusted. This is an aberration.
But the reality is he doesn't just have Fox News. He didn't do a lot of mainstream media this election, but he went on Joe Rogan and reached 50 million people.
Okay, so Alyssa dropped a hammer on her right there at the end because everything that Sunny was saying, it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter to voters. It doesn't at all. What matters to voters are the issues that keep them up at night. It's the money in their bank account, right? It's feeling safe for not only the family, the kids, everything, right? It's the cost of living. I don't understand why she can't get that through her thick skull. I mean, I do understand. It's because hate is blinding a person. And Alyssa is dead on. If Trump got 50 million views from Joe Rogan, he got 1 billion views on X from the Elon Musk interview. You do the math with all the other podcasts. The legacy media is not needed to get someone elected anymore. Even Vivek has shown you if you go to every single podcast, even ones that disagree with you, you could truly get your name out there and start building a legitimate audience and a following and be recognized as someone who's a serious contender in politics. But don't tell Sunny that because she can't accept it. So in the middle of recording this video, they just published that Trump did actually comment on that meeting with Morning Joe. And here's what he had to say. They titled the article, "Trump says media is vital to making America great again, vows to work with free, fair, and open press." Bottom line up front, he says, "I am not looking for retribution, grandstanding, or to destroy people who treated me very unfairly." President-elect Donald Trump tells Fox News Digital in an exclusive interview. He goes on to say, I received a call from Joe Scarborough requesting a meeting for him and Mika, and I agreed that it would be a good thing if such meeting took place. We met at Mar-a-Lago on Friday morning at 8. I find it interesting that no one even said anything about this meeting until today. So there you go. Trump said the meeting was extremely cordial. Many things were discussed, and I very much appreciated the fact that they wanted to have open communication. In many ways, it's too bad that it wasn't done long ago. Trump added that they congratulated me on running a great and flawless campaign, one for the history books, which I really believe it was, but it was also a campaign where I worked long and hard, perhaps longer and harder than any presidential candidate in history. I mean, that's not even up for debate, right? We talked about various cabinet members, both announced and to be announced as expected. They liked some very much, but not all. The meeting ended in a very positive manner, and we agreed to speak in the future. Trump added, I expect this will take place with others in the media, even those that have been extremely hostile. The president-elect said he feels he has an obligation to the American public and to our country itself to be open and available to the press. If not treated fairly, however, that will end. The media is very important to the long-term success of the United States of America. And while many others are calling for meetings, I am not looking for retribution, grandstanding, or destroy people who treated me very unfairly or even badly beyond comprehension. He said, I am always looking to give a second and even a third chance, but never willing to give a fourth chance. That is where I hold the line. All right, so do you believe this move from Morning Joe to meet with Trump at Mar-a-Lago was a great move for them, their show, and whatever reasonings that I read to you during this video on why they did it? Do you believe it was a good move for them? Let me know in the comment section below. Also, what about Trump's side? Do you believe this was a good move for him? And do you agree that him doing this is very important for our country, because the media, it's got to be fair, it's got to be free, it's got to be open, and he's taking the initiative to start things off on the right track by meeting with them. If you agree with him on that, also put your answers in the comments section below, or if you disagree, let us know why. Now, one thing that people definitely disagree with Trump on is his cabinet picks, right? Matt Gaetz, Pete Hegseth, Tulsi Gabbard, these are all names that have been drawing a lot of backlash and meltdown, particularly from people on the left. So Speaker Mike Johnson went on CNN yesterday, State of the Union, with Jake Tapper, and he left him speechless. If you want to check out that video, all you have to do is click on it, because it's coming up right now.